Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Hello and welcome to March to the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing, a show that didn't get off to the best start today. It seems that the co-host over here had a computer crash. There he is. Boy, you get back quick.
Yeah.
You got back quick.
It's the third time today my laptop's crashed, so
well, that's not positive news. That's not we have other not positive news today. Season 2, episode 34. Cory is hating on the Cats. I'm your host, producer, formerly band member, and probably reband member of catfans.com. Cory Hoagden on FBS Insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channel at Cory Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of sports of SHSU on Twitter and Instagram, Chief Operating Officer of the Cat Fund, proud Bearcat alum Ben Sorrells. And Ben, we're gonna have some people possibly tuning in today. I don't know, maybe a few. There seems to be a little bit of a graphic gate, and we will definitely get to that. That will be discussed. But first, we have a huge, massively packed podcast today. We have a lot to talk about. We're talking men's basketball. We're talking the bat and ball sports. Softball had a game this morning. Bad news came out of there. They've got a game now later on this evening. Right, within an hour, they are scheduled to have an elimination game in the Conference USA tournament. We'll have all the latest on that. We also have baseball. We're going to be talking about some baseball after they swept Liberty. Massey put out a rating prediction for football. And, Cory made a post on the social account and people got upset. We will discuss. We will discuss. But first, we're going to hear a word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
And we want to thank our friends over at Eternal Roofing, as Ben is in and out today. So if he jumps,
I should be good. It happens anytime I'm trying to pull up different links to look at things to reference while we talk, and when I do that, it crashes. So I should probably just use my phone to look at things today.
Yeah, I think we need to probably make a little swerve on that. By the way, New Mexico State and La Tech are tied at 1, 2 outs, bottom of the fifth. and La Tech has runners on second and third. The loser of that game will play the Cats later on. But first, we're going to talk some men's basketball. The roster's pretty well set.
Yeah, it's done.
The roster is set. What you think so far? Who we got next year?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. It's 4 returners, 4 freshmen. So you've got 8 there, and then you've got 5 transfers coming in to round out the 13, and that's the scholarship number they'll be at for this year. So a little bit of everything. The fact that you return 4 while not all of them were huge contributors is still a win, because a lot of rosters start from scratch. So good to at least bring a couple guys back. And yeah, we can get into the transfers, but I think the ceiling for this team is pretty high. If things all fall into place like they did 2 years ago, I think we could be in for a really fun season. Obviously, that's a big if, but I love the pieces that they've put together. I like the blend of youth, returners, and guys they've brought in. So I think there's a reason to have optimism going into next season.
What is it that you see about with this roster? Because it's basically a whole brand new roster.
Yeah, as far as guys that are going to be huge contributors, I think the thing that I like is you have a little bit of everything. I think the biggest concern coming into the offseason was where is the scoring going to come from? And I think you solved some of that last week with some of the pickups you got at the 2-guard position with Po Boy King, which is an all-time name.
That is the greatest name.
Yeah, really, really fun one.
It's got to be on the all-time Cats name list, right?
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
Maybe over the summer, because we know we're coming up on the end of the school year, and so podcasts will become. Maybe we come on for one of those like all-time Bearcat name podcasts. That'd be cool.
There's got to be enough out there. Some good ones.
We'd have to dig and find them, do some research, but that sounds like a really fun like summer deal coming up here in a few weeks.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think you brought in some scoring, which was desperately needed after losing Lamar Wilkerson and Marcus Boykin and Cam Hoofner. So you got Po Boy King, who averaged 17 points a game at NC Central, and it's a MEAC team, but it's still Division I basketball, and NC Central is typically a pretty good team. You bring in Kashi Nat, who was the NAIA Player of the Year, averaged 21 points a game there last year. And I know I've talked to some people that don't really know how the NAIA game translates to this level, and typically I would say it doesn't, for the most part, but the NAIA Player of the Year from the year before averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds a game in the Big 12 this last year. So I think it can translate, at least for the upper level guys. It definitely can.
Well, I'll say this. The big difference between Division I and every other division is post play.
Yeah,
right, Division I, you've got outstanding post play. When you're talking guards, I've seen some outstanding guards come from D2. Scottie Pippen was Central Arkansas. He was in AIA, and we know that he teamed up with Michael Jordan, moons ago. Kids nowadays are like, whoever the hell that is, right? But Scottie Pippen was one that came from NAIA. It can happen. And like you said, last year's NAIA Player of the Year put up, what'd you say, 8 and 4?
8 and 5 at Colorado, the Big 12. Yeah.
Hey, look, 14, 15, that's possible with this guy next year in Conference USA.
Yeah, so between Po Boy and Kashi, I think you got 2 scoring threats at the guard position, which you needed. I also think you probably upgraded defensively, part of that just being you get Damon Nicholas back. I think Isaiah Manning from TCU, while he might not be the most prolific scorer, has a lot of size, has a great wingspan. He's 6'8". He's versatile, can guard different positions. And then you also filled a need at the big man position at the 5, bringing in Elich from Loyola. He played there for 4 years, averaged, I think, 8 points, 5 rebounds a game there last year. And you've got 2 extremely talented young centers that are both 7 foot, but you needed a veteran in the room. And so I think it was good to get that veteran presence at the center position. So I think you filled a lot of needs. I think the last point to hit on too is the point guard position. Justin Begg, probably the top point guard coming out of Houston in 2024. He, Cory, I'm sure you know Trey Johnson from Texas this last year.
Oh, hey, Trey Johnson's dad played at Midwestern State.
So
yeah, very well familiar with that.
So Houston Hoops, he was the 3 and Justin Begg was the point guard for that team. Really,
By the
really
way,
good.
a lot of those players down there on those teams, they get coached also by Kelvin Sampson. He
Yeah.
really does help kids all over that place.
Yeah, and it's kind of full circle. Speaking of the University of Houston, I'm glad you brought that up because this one comes full circle. So, Sam Houston was in on Justin Begg as a junior and senior, and Mike Econom was a big part of that. And Mike Econom ended up going to George Mason 2 years ago. Then Justin Begg commits to George Mason in high school. He goes to there as a freshman. Mike Econom ends up going to Oklahoma State this last year. And now Mike Econom is the new assistant for Kelvin Sampson. So kind of full circle there. You get Justin Begg. You've had a relationship with him there. You recruited him before. And he had, I think, 6 or 7 double-digit performance or scoring games in the A10 for George Mason, which was a borderline top 25 team for a lot of the year. So seeing some of the names
Yeah.
Jason Plotkin's
Well,
putting up.
Jason Plotkin's watching on YouTube, and he's chimed in with a couple of comments. I want to ask you this question first, then we'll get to the next one, which is pretty good too. But he wants to know: is Mudge going to play as aggressive and out of conference this year as he did last year, and really kind of the year before?
Yeah, it's been both years, and I think all indications point towards it being a similar schedule. You've already got Oklahoma State on the schedule for next year, so that's a big time game. You need it to fill out the budget. I know that's part of the reason why you do it. And at the end of the day, as strong as Conference USA was last year, it was still a one bid league. You might as well go test yourself and prove who you are in the non-conference. Because
that's my point exactly, man.
It's not going to be as good of a
league. Your whole season comes down to that conference tournament anyway.
Yeah, and it looks like the conference is going to be down this year, and so you might as well go play a tough out-of-conference schedule.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jason Plotkin on YouTube also chimes in with file for future name conversation. Scorpio Babers from football, former women's basketball coach Wooly Hatchell, and women's basketball player Bo Warren. I like it. Dude, Po' Boy is a hard one to beat, though. Like, when we get – maybe this could be like a bracketology thing we do.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
This summer, by the way, I know we're coming up to the end of the season, end of the athletics season pretty quickly here. By the end of this month, we will pretty much be out of all sports. June and July will be hit and miss until after media day, and then we'll be hopped on here again starting season 3. And another little tease. Big things are coming. Changes. And I'm not talking necessarily a March to the Pod change, but changes that will have an effect on March to the Pod are coming in season 3 of this show. Even Ben now is like, what in the world are you talking about? Well, I'll let you know. But first, you got to tell you, we're a podcast on the Republic of Football Network, an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and the CUSA Podcast Roundtable, which features podcasts from all 12 Conference USA schools. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. Find us on your various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at March to the Pod. It's the word March, the number 2, the Pod. You know what? We still got to talk about Graphic Gate.
Well,
we got to talk about the crap Cory said earlier this week.
Other Graphic Gate too, the quarterback rankings that one account put out, people did not like, and the CUSA Roundtable will have quarterback rankings coming out tomorrow, our very own. So be on the lookout for that graphic.
Man, good thing we got next week, right? Before we go any further, stay tuned. That is coming. We are going to talk about the graphics, the commitment graphic gate, as we like to call it here. But first, we're going to hear some more about our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Last week, the women's softball there's no men's softball. So the softball program was needing a win in the last game of the regular season to make their first trip to Conference USA postseason tournament. And Allie Seville came up in the bottom of the eighth. This is what happened. By the way, the call from the great Jason Barfield.
I don't know. We'll see.
Allie Seville stands in. Seville sends a fly ball deep into left field. It is gone! Allie Seville has walked it off for the Bearcats, and they are going to the conference tournament.
That's what happened. And they went, and they're at the conference tournament right now as we speak. By the way, that guy was really excited, stood up right in front of the camera. Camera was like, uh-oh. Producer was like, cut video 3. There was the truck had some words going on at that time.
I know, right? What a moment, though. Holy cow.
Yeah, no, I mean, Elliot Hebel talked about that, right? Like there was some tears and a lot of just the greatest moment she said since she's been at Sam Houston.
Yeah, and it was a crazy 2 innings because they were down 2-0 going to the 7th. The Louisiana Tech pitcher was throwing a perfect game going to the 7th inning. You rally to put 2 runs together in the 7th and walk it off in the 8th, and it was incredible. And I mean, it's a tough league to get into the tournament for. They went 14-13 and got in by the skin of their teeth, which is just crazy.
Yeah, and so they went to the Conference USA tournament. And if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, you can see the bracket right there. First game of the day, Jacksonville State and Sam Houston. It did not go well, and we are going to get into that here in just a minute. They lost, I believe the final was 11-0.
Right.
Jacksonville State won in 5 innings. Right now, Sam Houston will play it. They're scheduled to play at 5 o'clock tonight. I see that maybe being pushed a little bit, especially since they play the loser of Louisiana Tech, previously mentioned, and New Mexico State. And right now, they are tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 6th. Louisiana Tech is up to bat, and there is 1 out, nobody on, and 0-2 count on the batter. So we will keep up with that one and see how that progresses here. But I want to get into the game today. It's not the 11-0 that bothers me. Look, Jacksonville State was hitting the ball. I don't know who you throw out there today that's going to get outs. Jacksonville State, there's sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. And today, Jacksonville State, they were smashing the ball. Dude, that ball that went three rows deep up on the parking garage.
Oh, to left? I think that one made it, 5-0 or something, or 7-0?
Oh, I don't even remember what the score was. I just looked at how far that was and how high she hit that, and I went, good Lord, this team is – they were on today.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. And I'm not saying by any means did this team, with the way Jacksonville State was hitting, you're not beating them today if you're Sam Houston. I think we could agree on that. However, you've got your best pitcher, Abigail Young, on the circle, and she's not healthy. And it was evident from the start that she is not healthy.
Yeah.
And so I understand, like, there are things to talk about with this. There's so many different angles. But at the end of the day, you're in a double elimination tournament for your season. Game 1 is the most important game there is on that. And you throw out a pitcher that's not quite healthy. And in process, got Jacksonville State maybe helped their rhythm a little bit, right? And before you pulled out, it was 4-0. You could tell she didn't have it. She was in tears coming off the field because her plant leg was hurting her so bad.
Did you watch it live, Cory?
I did.
Okay.
I was watching live today. So it's tough for me because I get from a coach, right? I mean, you've got your ace pitcher. They're wanting to pitch. They're wanting that ball. This is the conference tournament, right? We've talked about it. We're here. Man, as a coach also, I got to do what's best for the team to get the W that day. And maybe if maybe tomorrow's your day. Let's see if we can get to tomorrow. Maybe that. Or if this first game doesn't go our way, let's see how you do for the second game.
Yeah,
That's just how I look at that. I'm not questioning the coaching decision on that. It's a hard decision either way.
Yeah, it's tough because she is such an incredible pitcher, and I mean, maybe in the bullpen she's not feeling great, but before the game, but she wants to give it a try, and I get that. But you could tell 1, 2 batters in that it just did not look right. And when things go that south that quickly, and you can tell they're hurting, I think you just got to get her out of there quickly, and like you said, maybe move on to game 2 or tomorrow and see if she can go then. But I mean, she gave it everything she had. She could barely even stand up straight after delivering some of those pitches.
Right. I mean, like I said, I cannot blame the coach because I do understand the there's emotions that go into this game, and they just had to drop third strike out. So there's 2 outs now for La Tech in the bottom of the 6th. But there's a lot of emotions that go into this, and the human element is a real thing. You can't disqualify that. And, the human element played today. Look, Cats have another game. Now, the Cats season is win or go home. That's just all it is.
Yeah, and you got to get that
here through the end of the weekend is a win or go home. That's
exactly. Yeah, and you got to get that pitching that you're used to getting. I know Tiffany Sanchez came in, and it was rough, but she probably wasn't expecting to come in with 2 outs in the first inning, and you're already down 4-0. And so if you could just give whoever the starter is kind of a fresh start, whether it be Amy Abke or Kendall Daniel, or maybe go back to Tiffany Sanchez, have them in the circle ready to go. They can put together 7 innings of 1-run ball. We've seen 3 or 4 different pitchers do it. So you just got to reset, hope for the best. And if you play Louisiana Tech, you're familiar with them. You just took 2 or 3 from them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you play New Mexico State, who knows, man? It's one game. Right now, this New Mexico State pitcher is about to throw her 100th pitch. Sure, she could pitch again later on today, but nowadays at college softball, you don't see that as often.
No. And if she does, I mean, maybe you get to her because she's a little gassed.
Maybe so. There's another bat and ball sport that we've got to talk about. And we had our first one of the year. We had it, Ben. You ready?
Let's do it.
We got a sweep!
Only took to the first week of May.
It only took to the first week of May, but the baseball team pulled off the sweep at home over Liberty. It was a very needed home run, and I'm going to show you why. When you look at Conference USA baseball standings, top 8 teams make the tournament. That's not what the top 8 teams make. So here we go. We got Sam Houston is currently sitting there in 9th. They are 1 game out of the conference tournament right now. But they just had a home sweep of Liberty. So here's my question. Are you buying the baseball team? Are you buying that there's a resurgence right here coming for them?
And I think you mean by a resurgence, like they've got a shot to make some noise in this league and down the stretch. And I don't think that's necessarily the case, but they are starting to do, because they've won 4 in a row in Conference USA now. They did take the last one from Jack State 2 weeks ago. I think you're starting to see what I talked about probably a month ago, that you just needed to see that developmental progress. And I think you're finally starting to see it for the first time. And it's good to see. I mean, all 3 pitchers, all 3 starters went 6+ innings. You got Ryan Frandon back in the lineup, which was a real big boost. He's one of your top hitters. And so I think part of that helps. So it's good to see things start to come together. And I don't think this is a team that's really going to make any significant noise this year. I think they've got a shot to get in the tournament, though, because you play Middle Tennessee and FIU the rest of the way.
Well, that's what we're about to get into.
Yeah, so I think you've got a chance for some wins there. I don't know how much noise you make in a conference tournament, but I think you've got a chance to still put together some wins these last 2 weeks.
Let's take a look at the bracket for the Conference USA Baseball Championship, May 21st to 25th. It's hosted by Liberty up in Lynchburg, Virginia. And so top 8, that's where you got to be. And so I went on a little thing this morning because at this point you've got 3 teams And you can see it here on, if you're watching, you can see it on the screen. You got Florida International right now. They're 9-11. Liberty 7-14. Sam Houston 6-15. Middle Tennessee State is 5-16. Now, two of those teams are not going to make the tournament. That's pretty much what we're down to. Is two of these four teams are going to be in. 2 of 4 will be out. FIU plays Liberty. We saw what Sam Houston just did to Liberty. Liberty on the road, not great. FIU at home, pretty good. I'm going to say they go 2 of 3 for FIU.
That's
all
fair.
right. So Liberty now 1-2, one of 3. So now they're 1-2 for the weekend. Sam Houston, they're not good on the road. 2-16 this year, 1-8 in conference. But it's Middle Tennessee State. So I say they pick up 1. I say Middle Tennessee gets 2. So now I've got them going into the final week of the season. Florida International 11-12, Liberty 8-16, Sam Houston and Middle Tennessee tied at 7-17. But that last weekend, man, really sets up nicely for the Bearcats. They're home. They're playing Florida International, who does not do well on the road this year. I'm giving the Cats 2 wins in that series. So that puts them at 9-18. That puts Florida International at 12-14. So they're in. Florida International's in. Sam Houston's 9-18. Liberty has Dallas Baptist.
Whew, yeah, good luck.
Dallas Baptist. I'm calling sweep right there. Middle Tennessee State comes into the weekend tied with the Bearcats under these projections, right?
Yep.
They play Kennesaw.
They're good. Kennesaw's on a heater.
Kennesaw's on a real heater. There's another 3 losses. In the end, I think 3 wins get Sam Houston into the Conference USA tournament this year, which, by the way, when you get there, anything can happen.
Right. Yeah, and
Do you think 3 wins is enough?
I don't think it guarantees you to get in, but you at least give yourself a shot to do it. And if you go 3 and
dance.
Yeah, and that's all you need is a chance. And if you go if you go through these last 2 weekends 3-3, that means you're 7-3 in your final 10 conference games.
Pretty good.
Because you've won 4 in a row.
And you know what? You start looking at, okay, is this team headed in the right direction?
Right. And I saw a stat the other day that said Sam Houston, and this is assuming everybody comes back that's eligible to come back, and obviously that's not going to be the case, but as of right now, Sam Houston is 2nd in the nation in possible returning production next year at 96%.
Well, if you can keep them, that's good. Right now, New Mexico State's got a runner on second, top of the 7th, nobody out, still tied 1-1. Loser plays Sam Houston here somewhere around 5 o'clock-ish. Ish, yeah. Is it? And we're going to talk about this in a couple of weeks, because this next 2-week stretch, I think, is critical not just for Conference USA tournament hopes. I think this next 2-week stretch is really to see if we're going to have a change in leadership of the program.
Yeah, or at least the direction heading into next year at the bare minimum. I mean, if you go in 7-3 in your final 10 regular season conference games, you got to feel at least pretty good that things are starting to move in the right direction. If you go 1-5 over your last 2 series, lose the first 2 games of the conference tournament, I think the feeling kind of sits where it still is right now. So, yeah, at a bare minimum, at least kind of a gauge on the temperature of where the program's heading.
No doubt. Let's see. Oh, nope, nothing there. Okay. We are going to move into listen to our friends from Eternal Roofing, third time. And then Cory talks. Cory responds to Graphic Gate. Right after this word from our friends at Eternal Roofing. And get on the schedule now for Christmas lights.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Before we hear from Cory about Graphic Gate, you need to hear from Ben Sorrells about how you can join Cat Fund and support your Bearcats and find out all this football information before it hits Twitter.
Yeah, football, basketball, baseball, a lot going on, and I have been extremely busy helping basketball close out their portal window, and baseball starting to crank up here soon. So we definitely need your support to be able to help these teams and help these athletes and be able to reach more sports. And you can do that by signing up at cat-fund.com. Support these athletes, and you get stuff in return, the insider info, Cat Fund merch, stickers, apparel, different events that we have throughout the year. So you definitely want to sign up, become a member today. We need your support, and yeah, we need everybody.
Yeah, they've got monthly, they got yearly memberships. You could sign up for any of them, and you know, you could do it for as low as $10 a month.
Yeah.
That's a meal at Arby's these days, right?
Maybe. Might just get you some fries or something.
Maybe. Hey, the first predictions, because we're waiting on the Vegas predictions for the football team, right?
Yep.
And we are. We're waiting on that. But the first predictions are out for football. And Massey ratings, and I want to say this real quick before we go into this. Preseason ratings are based on an extrapolation of recent years' results, tuned to fit historical trends and regression to the mean. A team's performance is expected to be consistent with the strength of this program, but sometimes there may be temporary spikes. Other potentially significant factors like returning starters, coaching changes, and recruiting are ignored. Therefore, said right here, preseason ratings should not be taken too seriously. Well, bull, because we're taking it seriously, Ben.
Here we are.
Nasty ratings.
Well, I was going to say, starting at the very top, taking this seriously, how is our offense 136 and our defense is, 96? If anything, it needs to be flipped the other way after this offseason, but obviously we're not taking into account a lot of things.
Again, like I said, yeah, let me get Cat Fund off there. Producer do his job for a change. No, that's the thing, right? And so, again, take it with a grain of salt. Massey rating says 7 and 5. And we'll go through this here in just a second, minute, or game by game, because I do want to get into that for a minute. But I did a little research today, Ben. In 2021, and I only went back to 2021. By the way, New Mexico State just hit a 3-run home run, and they are up 4-1 now.
La Tech it is, probably.
So over on La Tech will still have a chance to bat in the bottom of the inning. That game is sure to be starting at probably, I would say, closer to 5:30 than 5 o'clock now.
Yep.
I went back to 2021. I wanted to see how Massey ratings had done. 2021 Cats were in FCS. Massey ratings said they'd go 10-0 regular season. Cats went 10-0. 2022 said the Cats would go 8-2. That was a rough year. Cats went 5-4.
And it didn't account for the red shirt thing, so that's another
did not
area
account
where it
for
shows,
any of that, right?
It just
That
doesn't
was a
account,
variable.
for a lot of the external factors.
So 2023, it said the Cats would be 3-9. They were 3-9. Last year, not accounting for the red shirts that were still coming in, they said the Cats would be 6-6. Cats were 10-3. What is that like? It's been semi-accurate within a 2 to 3 games. I mean, what do you think about Massey's prediction here? And we will go game by game. Let's go with game by game. Let's go ahead and do that here. First game, At Western Kentucky, 34% chance of the victory. I can't complain with that.
I mean, that's probably about right. I mean, and they're going to be a great team, and I think their offense is just going to be incredible this year.
Yeah, UNLV at home, 23% chance to win. No arguments there.
Yeah, bringing in Dan Mullen, brought in a lot of talent, one of the top G5 programs from last year. Might not be the exact same, but they're still going to be good.
At Hawaii, I'm not sure that these preseason ratings take in home field advantage because Hawaii's rated 115th. Sam Houston's rated 112th. They have Sam Houston winning 24-23, 51% chance of a win. I got to say, I think that one's probably more 45-55 in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. I mean, I'd be interested to see how they factor in the Hawaii effect because it's not just a normal road game.
Yeah, definitely. And then they don't. I'll tell you, they don't.
Yeah,
they may
don't.
factor in home field, but they don't factor in like the Hawaii effect of it. Then they play Texas on the road. There's a 0.0% chance the Cats win that one.
I was going to say, they've got Texas at 6, and I think Texas should be 1 or 2, probably.
I'd be careful with that right now. Texas still has some questions to answer themselves. But they do have the Cats scoring 6 points at Texas, so that, would be something along with that paycheck.
$1.5 million.
That's right. They have the Cats with a 66% chance to win at New Mexico State.
Yeah, and this is one where I think you're likely the more talented team on paper, at least on the offensive side of the ball, but it is a short week, back-to-back road games, Texas and New Mexico State, which I know we've hit on it a ton, but it's just a brutal schedule, and it's part of it.
Make that 3 straight road trips within a month.
Yep.
Hawaii, Texas, and New Mexico State. Look, do I think 66% is high? Yes. I'm not going below 50 with this one, though.
It's another toss-up.
50, 55. I think 55%, 55, 56% is probably fair on that one.
Probably, yeah. It's one of the probably 3 most winnable games this year.
Yeah. Jack State at home, 43% chance to win. I think that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, you get back to home, which is nice. Jacksonville State's kind of a wild card, so I think that's pretty accurate, somewhere in the 40s.
UTEP comes in. Massey ratings is not very high on the Miners. They have a 78% chance that Sam Houston wins this game. I don't think it's 78, honestly. I would say that one's probably 20 percentage points too high. I would put that one at about 55, 58%. I just think that UTEP is massively underrated by a lot of places this year. And look, in the Massey ratings, it goes off previous seasons. UTEP's done nothing to make you think that they would be a higher percentage.
And I'd be interested to see, I haven't looked at it, what UTEP's coming off of the previous week, because that's a short week for you, or at least for us. So you got to factor that into it. And then I think the big variable with UTEP is if you get the Malachi Nelson you expected out of high school, I think they could be a very dangerous team. But that's a big variable for them. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Then the Cats go to La Tech. Massey says they've got a 58% chance of winning that game. I think that's right around 50-50 in my opinion, again, depending on how La Tech's going to be.
Probably another toss-up. They're going to have a great defense. It all depends on the development of Evan Bullock, who looked great the last month of the season. As a true freshman, he's going to be their guy. So similar to UTEP, if they can get solid quarterback play, they're going to be a legit team because that defense is really good.
Oregon State, there's a chance, 17%. Probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Delaware comes in, 76% chance to beat Delaware.
Your most winnable game of the year, in my opinion.
Got to be, yeah. I mean, that might be too low, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's probably about right, just because, I mean, football's a tough game to win. 75-80% feels pretty good there.
At Middle Tennessee State, a 66% chance to win. That one, I think, is a little bit too high, again, by about 10 percentage points.
This is another one similar to UTEP. Year 2 under their current head coach and Derek Mason. This is going to be Nick Vadiato's 3rd year as the starting quarterback there. You don't see that continuity a lot. He's a great quarterback. So, if anything, I might go under 50% here, just because you're going on the road to a team that, like UTEP, I feel like is probably pretty underrated coming into this season.
They end up at home with FIU, a 76% chance to win that game, maybe a 65%, but I think they have a good chance to win that game this year.
That's probably number 2 I would put on the most winnable list. I'd go probably Delaware, FIU, and then probably New Mexico State.
You know, one thing that hasn't been discussed enough and will be when we come back for season 3, that's 7 road games.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to win on the road?
It's and another thing I was looking at too in these projections is if take out Oregon State and Texas, because obviously those are superior teams and opponents typically.
UNLV too, I think, on that. Take them out.
Yeah, I included them on this stat, but if you take out those two, the defense is averaging 23.9 points per game given up, which if you look at this year, I think it's the 54th or 55th best defense by scoring in the country compared to this last year. If this defense puts together that kind of performance, I think they can win 7 games, but I think it's going to be a very tough year for the defense. I know we've talked about it before, and 23.9 would be huge. I mean, I don't know if I see it right now, but if they got that out of the defense, I think that's how you could see a 7-5 season happen.
All right. So, what does Massey say about Conference USA? Massey has, what is that? Is that really 6 Conference USA teams being bowl eligible this year? Benjamin, that just seems ridiculously high.
Yeah, and I think it's a more talented league, especially at the top, compared to how it was at least last year. And then you add in an additional, I hate to use this word, but bottom feeder, at least for this year. Delaware and Missouri State are probably going to go through some growing pains. It doesn't show it here, but yeah. I think there could be some pretty clear separation between your WKUs, your Liberties. I would even maybe put MTSU, La Tech in there, and then your transitioning schools or teams with first-year head coaches.
We just went through this here in Sam. Missouri State and Delaware don't have the depth.
Right.
You just don't. I talked about it extensively a couple of years ago. I'm going to talk about it extensively this year with those teams. They just don't have the depth. Massey ratings is pretty high. Jackson State, 10-2. They've got them winning Conference USA. Western Kentucky, Liberty. They've got Western Kentucky 9-3, Liberty 8-4, 7-1 in conference. Sam Houston picked to finish 4th, 6-2. La Tech 4-4, 6-6. That's a bowl team. They have Missouri State making a bowl game. I think if that's probably the most overrated team in these ratings right here.
And I think the most underrated,
especially a 6-2 in conference. By the way, no way.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think they're the most overrated, and Middle Tennessee is the most underrated, in my opinion.
I think maybe UTEP.
Maybe, well, yeah, UTEP's got the same record, so I think they're both in similar boats. They've got extremely talented.
It is funny when you see this, right? Because you look at what Massey has: FIU, UTEP, Delaware, Middle Tennessee, all 3-9 and 2-6. You include New Mexico State 4-8, 2-6, and Massey just thinks that the bottom half of this conference is pretty beatable.
Yeah, and I think that probably is the case, but I think you move Missouri State down to the beatable category. You move at least one of UTEP and Middle Tennessee up to the kind of upper echelon of the conference.
Well, Kennesaw 1-11, 0-8. I don't know that they're that is it that bad at Kennesaw?
I mean, they've got a new head coach. There's a lot of variables there, a ton of turnover, but the end of last year, they looked pretty good. They beat Liberty. They took us, Sam Houston, to overtime. They started to make some strides, and so I think his name is Jerry Mack. Came over from the Jaguars. It's probably going to be a transition in year 1, but if they go 1-11, I'd be pretty surprised. I think they're probably a 3-ish win team, somewhere around there.
All right, Ben. Earlier this week, the football program put out commitment graphics. I believe that was Monday?
Yeah, signing
graphics. And saying these players were signed. And I went on to the program account and I put, or the podcast account, and I put Imagine having an ego so large that you need your signature on the player commit graphic. Insane. Okay. I want to give a little bit of retrospect here. Cat's on top, and you can see it on the screen if you're watching, said, I think you're overreacting a bit. There's a good chance. How much, though? That's the question. Did Phil Longo did he know his signature was going to be on that? I don't know. Right? Did he request it? I don't know. I don't know. He may not have seen it. He may not have had any idea. People think I have a personal vendetta against Phil Longo right now. I do not. Right? Like, I don't know Phil Longo. I've not met Phil Longo. He's the coach of the Cats. But let me also tell you, I don't give coaches, nor politicians, nor anyone else full loyalty. Right? You don't get my undying fealty. You can be wrong, and we need to be telling the truth. That includes myself, right? Like I know my faults as well. Here's what I'm concerned about, Ben. And this is where the reaction comes from me. It screams, look at me. That's what it screams when the head coach's signature is on a player commit graphic. A player. This is the player's time to shine. This is the player's time for this. And I don't know who had anything to do with it. And I don't know if the people who did have something to do with it are some of these burner accounts that have been coming out here. And by the way, for a lot of you burners who wanted to come on and react to this and give your opinions and stuff, that's great. But I'm going to also recommend that a lot of you who are coaches in the athletic department at Sam Houston, otherwise university employees, maybe you should go out and spend some more time recruiting or up doing things to help this university so that the athletics department can get better, rather than come on here and spout whatever it is you want to say on social media. Just saying.
Yeah, there's so many elements to it.
There's so many burners. There's so many newer burners too, right?
Too.
Like there's so many right now. So that's just what it is. And look, General Sam, he says, what if it wasn't his idea to put it there?
Well, it
might not be. But okay. And that's the thing. Real quick, Ben, real quick. And I'll let you chime in here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he did, and what if it might not be his idea, but somebody felt the need to put his signature there, and that to me, it is concerning.
Yeah, well, and I was to touch on that part first. I mean, who knows? I mean, because head coaches typically aren't very involved in social media, at least from what I've been around. But at the end of the day, you're the head coach, and everything that you put out, it falls under you at the end of the day. So I think that's part of it. I personally wasn't a big fan of it, but it's not something that I was going to get up in arms with some burners about. Which, Cory, I know you're a little spicier than me, so that's kind of what you do. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan. At the end of the day, I do want it to be about the players, and that's kind of what the comment said there. It may not have been his idea. Who knows? Like I said, social media isn't something coaches do a lot. But anything and everything that comes out about a program falls under the coach, and I think that includes it too. And
by the way,
I was going to say we could throw the eat 'em up Cats on the side there.
General Sam says, I highly doubt people even noticed it because I didn't until you said it. And fair, that's a fair point. But I also want to say it was the first thing that pulled up, because as someone who sees a lot of commit graphics, I like them. I like to see how the graphics look, how the social media is, whether it be SIDs or a team member or a coach on a staff. It's multiple different things that can have a team account.
Yeah, well, and
so then I look at those.
The signature part is a big part of commitment and signing graphics now, and that might have been why it stood out too, is because it wasn't the player's name, I guess.
Yeah, because you look at that, and I'm like, Grady O'Neill. I was expecting Grady O'Neill to have it be a signature. It doesn't even have to be his signature, right? To me, look, it is an opinion. I have an opinion on this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm right. I'm not going to tell you that I'm wrong. I don't know. It's an opinion, right? Some people have called opinions certain appendages. Just saying. We're trying to keep it clean on here. But it is an opinion. And you are free to disagree with me. I fought for your right to do it. Let's go. Right?
Well, and I was going to...
Here's another comment right here. Your dream thug. Why does this signature offend you so much? It doesn't offend me. It takes away from the player. That's what troubles me about it is, at this point, the focus needs to be on the player signing. That's who we need to celebrate. And that's where I get a little bit of drawback from that.
Well, and I was going to hit on the player because he was the first player they announced, and so, of course, that's the one that gets quote tweeted. But Grady O'Neill is going to be a redshirt junior this year, coming over from Wisconsin. All academic Big Ten the last 2 years. He played on special teams in 3 or 4 games last year, had a couple tackles. So it's a pretty deep wide receiver room. And I don't know how much he'll play, but could definitely be a special teams guy to be aware of, and a guy that's probably familiar with Longo's system, which helps, and still got 2 years left. So and shout out to Grady too.
Yeah, and this is the thing. General Sam says, I was too hyped with us having a good graphic and hearing the recording in the background. Look, things were going well. Things were well with that, and it takes away from it. It takes away of it takes away from the player. It took away from the cool music and the video. Everything was going so well on that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just, like.
And it drew my eyes.
Not to take away from the style of graphic and video that was put together too, because I thought that was pretty good. It was something different that we haven't seen Sam Houston do. It's similar to what some other programs do, where it's kind of a customized video for the player. So it was cool to kind of see that headed in the right direction. So yeah, I don't want to take away from the people making the graphic.
No, not at all. Not at all. And look, how it got on there, I don't know. I'm just saying in the future, we should probably think about that. Let's see. Here's another one from your dream thug watch it on YouTube. Hypocritical for you to call out the burners, telling them to recruit for the school, but you're using a Sam Houston account to bring up such a minor issue. I don't know if you're talking about the Sam Houston football account or if you're talking about the March to the Pod account, but March to the Pod is in no way associated with the university when it comes to that. So I'm not sure there. Let's see. General Sam, I do recall seeing a player on the team you say you were nitpicking pointed out in which is taking the attention away from the player. Yeah. And, listen, I want to clarify here. It is very important. Phil Longo was not who I would have picked to be the head coach. We know that. I made it clear. I've not been shy about my opinions on this stuff.
Your head coach is at New Mexico.
Yeah. But listen, even if Jason Eck was here, I'm calling for 3 wins next year, right? Like, just the amount of turnover on the roster, the coaching staff. You don't have a home field. Like, you've got so many things. I don't care if Keeler's still here. He's not winning more than 3 games. It's not happening. So it's nothing at all against Phil Longo. And I hope he is successful. Just because he wasn't my choice doesn't mean I'm going to hate on him. I hope he is successful. I hope also, though, that you Cat fans, let's be realistic right now about what's coming. And it's the same thing I told you 2 years ago when you came FBS. be realistic. It not saying that in 2 to 3 years, Longo's not the guy. And if he is, and I'm going to sit right here and tell you I was wrong. And I hope I am. I want you to bring all the heat at me if I'm wrong. Bring it.
And Mick Craven, too.
Mick Craven. By the way, La Tech hit a home run here. I'm not sure.
It's 4-3 last time I saw, but it's been like 5 minutes since I've looked.
Well, there was interviews with coaches or something, but
no, Louisiana Tech just walked it off.
They walked it off. So New Mexico State is the team that Sam
Wow.
Houston will play, and you see him in the background getting ready. So there we have it. New Mexico State and Sam Houston will play. I'm guessing probably around the 5:30 time frame today. All right, back to what I was saying. I have made no secret that I hope Vegas puts Sam Houston at a 5 or 6 win total this year, right? And I'm not making any secret about where I would go put money down on that. But if they win 6, 7 games, bring the heat. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I mean,
first off, I would much rather talk about positive and the winning than anything else.
Well, the school needs it too.
Yes, look, the school needs positive in so many ways, and there's so much, and I get it. You're nitpicking. I could. That's valid. You want to say I'm nitpicking on that? That is valid. I'm not going to tell you it's not. But I also think that it's. Ben, will you ever come out with your own podcast? There you go. They want Benjamin to go. So
if I didn't work 40 plus hours a week, run the NIL collective, and run other golf tournaments where I'm at, and I had the time, I might.
Well, anyway, if you need advice, I'm here. I'll help you get started if you want your own. But bring the heat. That's all I'm saying. And I want you to be realistic. Listen, the athletic department is not in a good place. The athletic director is not in a good place right now. Things are not going well overall for this athletic department. It's been clear and obvious, especially since the turn of the calendar.
Yeah, the growing pains of Conference USA show, and that's why I said it would help, and you need a good football season. We'll see. Like you said, it's an uphill battle due to a lot of external factors and a lot of turnover and stadium and schedule. But yeah, if you could get a good season, that'd be nice.
Look, one more thing I want to say about Phil Longo. Nothing of this year would be his fault anyway. Okay, you cannot hold this football season against him when you talk about how many things he's coming in, how many challenges he's facing, having to revamp an entire roster, having no home field. Listen, that's a big, big thing. Having no home field, right? 7 road games, for crying out loud. That's crazy.
Almost kind of like 12, yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. It's such a hard schedule. There's so many things funding-wise that he's coming into, right? I hope he is the guy that brings out some of these big money donors this school needs. I hope he is. I hope he is who he says he is. I really do. And I hope that this program gets back up to 8, 9, 10 wins every single season. It would be great if he's that guy. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he isn't. I know 2025 is going to get rough.
Yeah, and I know Carter and Mike said pretty much the exact same thing on their podcast a couple of weeks ago after Carter's trip to Sam Houston, that I don't think you can make any sort of evaluation in a bad way after this year. I think if they go 7-5, 6-6 plus, whatever it might be, you can make a good evaluation, but it's hard to make a downward evaluation after whatever this season looked like.
Let me one last thing, and then we will end this podcast here today. If Phil Longo goes out and wins 7 games, if he goes and wins 7 games, I will be the first person on here screaming for him to get a contract extension.
should probably be Conference USA Coach of the Year too.
Oh,
Because
national. I would be yelling for all those awards, but I want the man to get paid if he does, right? He deserves it.
And you're probably 6-2, 7-1 in Conference USA play, and possibly playing for a title if that did happen, because you're going 1-3 or maybe 0-4 in out of conference play.
Bottom line, prove me wrong, please.
I think everybody kind of has the expectation that it's going to be a rougher year, so kind of prove everybody wrong. I mean, I could see a path to possibly 4 or 5 wins, but it's going to be tough to get up above that. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. If you get to 6 or 7, it's an incredible job.
Yeah, prove me wrong. Ben, Cats need to win this afternoon, and the baseball team needs to have a good road trip. And is golf regionals going on this week?
They start the 12th.
They start the 12th. All right. Well, they're going to need some good luck, too, before we come back on. Until next week, we want to say thank you so much to everyone watching, listening, commenting. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Cats will be bowl eligible. Listen, bookmark that. Take a screenshot of this. It's right under my face. You said Cats will be bowl eligible. If it is, I'll replay this cut right here and say you're right. If Cats are bowl eligible, I will be the first one to tell you you were right, I was wrong. Screenshot. I keep the recordings anyway. Seriously, that prove me wrong. I would much rather be proven wrong than proven right in this, in every way, shape, or form. Again, we'll be back next week. Thank you to everyone listening, everyone watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, everyone commenting. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Till next time, Ben, we need some victories over here.
Yeah. Eat 'em up, Cats. 5:32 first pitch coming up. Let's get a win and march on to the next round.
Please prove me wrong.